What you're about to hear, I'm sure you've never heard before. This information and these events were kept secret, even from their own families. But on this channel, we always reveal hidden secrets, and you'll be shocked when you learn them. Michael Jackson sat alone in the dressing room, his face in his hands, crying. 16 years old, one of the biggest young stars in the world. And Elvis Presley had just destroyed him with 4 words. Your performance was terrible. What would you do if your idol told you that you weren't good enough? Would you quit? Would you fight back? Michael Jackson cried. And what happened next changed him forever. February 1974, Las Vegas. The Jackson 5 were performing at the MGM Grand. Michael was 16, already famous, already a star, but he was still a kid who worshipped Elvis Presley. Michael had grown up watching Elvis movies, studying Elvis's moves, trying to capture that same magic on stage. Elvis was everything Michael wanted to be, the greatest performer who ever lived. So when Michael heard that Elvis Presley was in the building watching the Jackson 5 show, he almost couldn't perform. His hero was in the audience, watching him, judging him. Michael gave everything he had that night. Every dance moved perfect. Every note hit. The crowd went crazy. Michael thought it was the best performance of his life. He couldn't wait to maybe, just maybe, meet Elvis afterward. After the show, Michael was in his dressing room, still high on adrenaline. His brothers were celebrating. The show had been amazing. The crowd loved them. Everything was perfect. Then someone knocked on the door. Michael's assistant opened it. Standing there was Elvis Presley, the king, in person. Michael froze. He couldn't believe it. Elvis was here, in his dressing room. Elvis walked in, looked around at the Jackson brothers. Then his eyes landed on Michael. "You're Michael, right?" Michael could barely speak. "Yes, sir. It's an honor to meet you." Elvis nodded. "Can I talk to you alone for a minute?" Michael's heart was racing. Elvis Presley wanted to talk to him. Alone. This was the greatest moment of his life. His brothers left the room. Michael and Elvis were alone. Elvis looked at Michael for a long moment. Then he said the words that shattered Michael's world. "Your performance tonight was terrible, kid." Michael felt like he'd been punched. "What?" "Terrible, sloppy, unfocused. You were trying too hard to impress people instead of just performing. I was embarrassed for you." Michael couldn't breathe. His idol, his hero, the man he'd modeled his entire career after, just told him he was terrible, embarrassing. Elvis walked out without another word. The door closed. Michael stood there in shock. Then the tears came. He sat down and cried like he hadn't cried since he was a little kid. Have you ever had someone you admire tell you that you're not good enough? Have you ever felt that crushing disappointment when your hero lets you down? That's what Michael felt. Complete devastation. Michael's brothers came back in. They found him crying. What happened? What did Elvis say? Michael couldn't even talk. He just shook his head. His brothers were confused, angry. They wanted to confront Elvis. But Michael stopped them. "Just leave me alone, please." For the next 10 minutes, Michael sat alone, replaying every moment of performance. Had he really been that bad? Had he disappointed Elvis? Had he disappointed himself? He thought about quitting. Right there. If Elvis Presley thought he was terrible, maybe he'd been fooling himself. Maybe he wasn't meant to be a performer. Then the door opened again. Elvis walked back in. Michael quickly wiped his tears, tried to pull himself together. But Elvis saw. The king saw that Michael had been crying. "You're crying." Elvis's voice was different now, softer. "I'm sorry," Michael managed to say. "I didn't mean to disappoint you." Elvis walked closer. "Sit down, kid." Michael sat. Elvis sat across from him. You want to know something? Elvis said, "Your performance wasn't terrible." Michael looked up, confused. "But you said—" "I lied." Elvis cut him off. "Your performance was incredible. One of the best I've ever seen. The crowd loved you. You were magnetic up there." Michael didn't understand. "Then why did you say?" "Because I needed to test you." Elvis leaned forward. "Michael, you're going to be huge. Bigger than me. Bigger than anyone. I can see it. But this business will destroy you if you let it. People will say terrible things about you. Critics will tear you apart. Haters will try to break you. I needed to know if you could handle it." Michael was still processing. "So you lied? Just to see how I'd react?" "I needed to see if you were real. If you were strong enough." Elvis's eyes were intense. "And you know what I saw? I saw a kid who cares so much about his art that criticism breaks his heart. That's rare, Michael. Most people in this business don't care. They're just chasing fame. But you're a real artist." Michael felt tears coming again, but different tears. Relief, understanding. Real artists feel everything. Elvis continued, "When someone criticizes your work, it hurts because your work matters to you. That's good. That means you're not faking it. But you need to learn something right now, before you get too big. You need to learn that not everyone's opinion matters." Michael was listening, really listening. Critics will say you can't sing. Fans will say you can't dance. Competitors will say you're overrated. And if you listen to all of them, you'll go crazy. I know. I've been there. Elvis's voice got quieter. "I've let criticism destroy me. I've let people's opinions make me doubt myself. Don't do what I did. What should I do? Trust yourself. Trust your talent. When someone criticizes you, ask yourself, is this person qualified to judge me? Do they understand what I'm trying to do? If not, ignore them. If yes, learn from it. But never let anyone make you cry unless they've earned that power." Michael nodded slowly. "You earned that power. You're Elvis Presley." Elvis smiled. "That's why I came back. To tell you the truth. To teach you the lesson. You passed the test, Michael. Most people would have gotten angry, or defensive, or quit. But you cared. You felt it. That means you're the real deal." Michael felt something shift inside him. A new strength. A new understanding. "You're going to be bigger than me." Elvis said it like a fact. "And when you are, remember this moment. Remember that criticism is just noise unless you give it power. Your art matters because you say it matters, not because some critic says so." "Thank you," Michael whispered. Elvis stood up. "Keep that fire, kid. Keep caring about your performances. But don't let anyone break you. You're too talented for that." Elvis walked to the door, then turned back one more time. "One more thing, Michael. When you become the biggest star in the world, and don't end up like me. Don't let the fame eat you alive. Stay strong. Stay real. Promise me." "I promise." Elvis nodded and left. Michael sat there for a long time, processing everything. The test, the lesson, the prophecy. Michael Jackson never forgot that night. Years later, when he was the biggest star on the planet, he told this story to close friends. "Elvis tested me. He broke me down to see if I was strong enough to build back up. It was the most important lesson anyone ever taught me." When Michael faced brutal criticism throughout his career, and there was a lot of it, he remembered Elvis's words. "Not everyone's opinion matters. Trust yourself." When the media attacked him, when tabloids made up stories, when people questioned his talent, Michael thought about that night in 1974. The night Elvis Presley made him cry, and then taught him how to be strong. Elvis died in 1977, just 3 years after that backstage meeting. Michael was devastated. He'd lost his mentor, his hero, the man who'd given him the toughest and most valuable lesson of his life. At Elvis's funeral, Michael stood in the back, crying again. But this time, he wasn't crying because someone told him he was terrible. He was crying because he'd lost someone who believed in him. Years later, Michael became exactly what Elvis predicted. Bigger than Elvis. Bigger than anyone. The king of pop. And whenever Michael doubted himself, which was more often than people knew, he remembered Elvis's test. The night Elvis made him cry wasn't about cruelty. It was about preparation. Elvis knew what was coming from Michael. The fame, the pressure, the criticism. Elvis wanted to make sure Michael was ready. Did it work? Maybe. Michael survived decades of brutal media attacks. He kept performing despite constant criticism. He never quit, even when quitting would have been easier. But Michael also struggled, just like Elvis warned. The fame did eat at him. The pressure did break him in ways. Maybe Elvis's test made him stronger. Or maybe it just delayed the inevitable. That's the true story of the night Elvis Presley made Michael Jackson cry. Not an act of cruelty, an act of mentorship. A brutal lesson wrapped in tough love. The king preparing the future king for a throne that destroys most people who sit on it. For words that destroyed a 16-year-old kid. 10 minutes of tears. Then the truth, the test, the lesson, and a promise that Michael kept for the rest of his life. Trust yourself. Stay strong. Don't let them break you. Elvis made Michael cry. Then Elvis made Michael stronger. That's what real mentors do. They break you down to build you back better. And that night in 1974, backstage in Las Vegas, the king of rock and roll created the king of pop.